got a team for us, Tim?
Not at the moment, mate. So we'll have a look again in the morning. Just weighing up, I suppose, whether we play the second spinner, and if we did, how we would do that. But as JL touched on yesterday, I think at the moment it would be likely that we'd go unchanged, but there's still a possibility if we see that wicket tomorrow morning that we could play another spinner.
Tim, is it difficult to sort of concentrate on a game of cricket and play a game of cricket in a time when sort of the country's burning and people are going through so much sort of trauma and tragedy? How do you feel about that? How do you conduct yourselves?
Oh yeah, no, it is. I think the way we sort of look at it is it's maybe an opportunity for us to provide a distraction for people and a bit of happiness if we can by playing a brand of cricket that, as we've touched on a lot, that Australians are proud of. But certainly, at times for us, it's important to look outside of the bubble that we live in as international cricketers. And I think certainly the events that are going on around the country at the moment are a real sort of eye-opener for us. And we speak about one of our things is being humble and showing some humility. So as I've said before, our thoughts certainly go out to the people that have been affected by it. It's got worse again, I think, overnight. So and the firefighters, as we said yesterday, have been the real heroes of this summer. They've taking on some extreme risk and putting themselves in some pretty ordinary situations. So we certainly thank them on behalf of our team, and as I said, our wishes and thoughts are with people that are currently affected.
Tim, if you did go for two spinners, do you think it'd be more likely to lose a fast bowler or a batsman to accommodate that?
Well, luckily we could probably do both if we had to. We've got some guys in around our squad that provide quite a bit of flexibility, and I think even with someone like James Pattinson can really lengthen our batting anyway. So we're lucky that we could go either way. Both have sort of been discussed a little bit. As I said, though, I think our preference would be to keep the winning combination together, and Marsh as that second spin option is always improving, and I think the more game bowling he will get, the more of a threat he'll become as well. So, but we're just happy to be in the position we are. We're happy to have plenty of options and be able to be really flexible.
And just with James Pattinson, in the Ashes he didn't play back-to-back tests.
Yep.
Any concerns about him doing that now?
No, not at all. I spoke to him not 10 minutes ago, and he feels great. I think he's excited that he's getting some continuity in his cricket. And one of the reasons he didn't play or hasn't played consecutive tests is because we want him fresh and ready to go when we're going to need him. And with Josh's injury, it's worked out really well. Well, it hasn't worked out well. It's been planned very, very well by our staff that he's fit and raring to go. So he's excited. As I said, he hasn't played a lot of Test cricket in the last few years, and he brings great energy into our group. So we're excited by the way he bowled in Melbourne and looking forward to see what he can do out here.
Tim, I know we've touched on it a bit this summer, but how would you assess the health of Australian cricket in this team now to what it was 12 months ago heading into the last test of the summer?
I'd say it's going pretty well. We've brought clearly some world-class players back into our batting lineup. I actually remember sitting here last year and saying that, I think there was light at the end of the tunnel, that we'd gone through a really difficult time, particularly as a batting group. But I thought what happened and getting games into some guys like Marsh and like Travis Head when they probably wouldn't have, I thought would bear fruit, and luckily it has. So all that's gone on sort of wasn't for nothing, I guess. There's always a silver lining, and those guys would be congratulated for the way they've gone about their cricket in the last 12 months, and the guys that have come back in, David and Steve, to come back in and perform the way they have after missing 12 months, and the way they've come back into our group as leaders as well has been awesome. And we've got a really good mix now of some young talent coming through and some experienced guns, and we've got some very, very good players who aren't in our 11, which 12 months ago we didn't have. So we're in a good position, but we can't take it for granted.
Was there ever a point in those dark days, let's say in England in that one-day series, where you sort of thought, is there a light? Like, is there going to be a way back to Australia to get to a point where you've had the summer you've had this year?
Yeah, I had full faith. As I said, the players, going back to that one-day tournament in England, we had 6 to 7 players out of our probably first-choice one-day side. So and playing against England in England, who at the time were the best team in the world. Again, we can learn from what happened to us over there, and I think we have. I thought the one-day team has grown and evolved into a very good team at the moment from that moment, and our test team the same has gone from strength to strength. So we've gone through a really difficult time, but as I said, we learnt a lot about ourselves, and I think individually players took that on board, went away, improved, and now we've come back together as an excellent cricket team, but also just a really good team. And I think we're starting to see guys spread the load. I think the feeling and mateship around our group is as good as it's ever been. So, as I've sort of touched on a little bit, I'm really proud of the way our whole playing group and our staff have handled the last 12 months. It's one thing to talk about learning and improving, and another thing to do it. So, for me to be captain of that group at the moment is a really proud thing.
Is it the challenge for the leadership group, for you and JL, I guess, really, to ensure that the team show up for what's essentially a dead rubber? I mean, in the Ashes, you sort of saw the side take their foot off the pedal a little bit. Yeah,
I wouldn't say we took our foot off the pedal, but we've certainly learnt from, or how to handle, that sort of experience and have good wins, have the emotional high of that, and then be able to switch back on really quickly. And we spoke again this morning about just making sure that that we turn up for tomorrow with the same energy and the same focus as we turned up to the Gabba for the first test match, and that starts with your training session today. We've deliberately gone in a little bit lighter with our training because it has been a heavy summer in some hot conditions. So we want guys to be fresh mentally, but we also need to be making sure that we're ticking all the boxes, so we're prepared as well as we can. And we think we've struck a pretty good line this week. We've also had some time to actually get away from cricket with our families and over New Year's and Christmas. So, as I said, the feeling around the group is great. All I've asked tomorrow is that we turn up again ready, expecting this New Zealand side to come out hard and expecting this to be another fight for 5 days. We feel if we can match them in that area, be really disciplined, that eventually we'll be able to wear them down.
Tim, Kane Williamson looks like he's missing training for the second day in a row. He's sick. How much does that dishearten New Zealand if their skipper can't play?
I'm not sure. You'll have to ask them. We're not too worried about it. We're planning for him to play, and I think if Kane Williamson misses a couple of days training, I don't think it's going to affect him too much. I think a player of his quality knows what he's doing, knows how to prepare himself, and knows how to get himself up for big games. So. We're preparing for the best of Kane Williamson, and if he's not there, then we saw last game that a guy like Tom Blundell can come in and take it right up to us. So we know they've got some very good players. We're not sure what 11 they're going to go with, but what we've done is prepared ourselves and looked really closely at all their players that they've got here. So we're prepared for every one of them.
Tim, over here. With the prospect of smoke and haze, potentially getting worse over the weekend, have you, as captain, been given a rundown on how, that'll be monitored and managed? And are you at all concerned about impacts on players' health?
Well, not at the moment. I'm not, but again, we're lucky in the Australian setup that we've got, world-class doctors and people that are put in place to make those decisions. So again, as a playing group, we're just focusing on what we control, which is going out and playing, and we'll be doing that until we're told otherwise. But I've been given a sort of rough guide that basically when it gets smoky, we're coming off. And our doc, I think, is having a pretty big say in reading the levels of air quality and stuff like that. So I think it's all set. We know the number. If it happens, it happens. And unfortunately, that's life.
Tim, just on the fast bowling again, the bowlers you've been able to pick this summer and how they've gone, how much growth do you still see in this pace attack, and do you think there's a potential for them to eventually be ranked among the finest collection of quicks Australia have been able to field together? Yeah,
I think they're well on their way, and they are still relatively young as well. So I think Pat's 26, Hazelwood and Cummins are 28. I might be wrong. Pat O's a little bit older. Starkey's still got quite a lot of Test cricket in him in terms of age. And we've got, again, some other guys coming through the ranks. There's some exciting young bowlers around the country as well. So, I think it's pretty exciting that we can continually put 3 or 4 big, strong, fast bowlers on the park. And, again, it's not something we can take for granted. We've got to keep working away, and I'm sure Cricket Australia are behind the scenes trying to develop more. We've just lost Peter Siddle, who's been a great influence on that bowling group. So again, we're lucky that you've got your Hazelwoods and your James Pattinsons, Mitchell Starks have played a lot of tests, nearly taken 200 wickets. So they've got some great insights and information for the young guys coming through. But yeah, I think at the moment the 3 or 4 that we're able to get on the park consistently as a group of bowlers are right up there with as good as we've had.
Tim, your coach gave you a pretty good endorsement yesterday, saying like to see you go through to 2021. I mean, have you got thoughts as to whether you can get to 2021? I think you said during the Ashes that seemed a bit distant, but now we've got through almost to the end of another summer.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Again, nothing's really changed from my end. I'm still sort of, as I've said, whether I was captain or not, I'm just looking at it series by series at the moment. We'll just see what happens. I'm enjoying my cricket. I'm loving the job. And while, as I've said many times, while that continues, I'll try and do it for as long as I can. And at the moment, I'm having a great time. It's a great team to be a part of. As I said, I'm really proud of being able to lead this group of players and what we've achieved in the last little bit. And at the moment, for the foreseeable future, I'd like to stay a part of it.
And do you still feel fresh? I suppose you're not playing white ball cricket. You're pretty much just focused.
Yeah, I do. I feel really good. I feel I get through Test matches at the moment better than I probably ever have. So I think probably part of that's being a bit older and a bit more experienced in the way I prepare myself. But I feel great at the end of the Test match at the moment. So touch wood that stays the way.
Tim, about the fast bowlers again, like how much has your captaincy evolved over the last 12 months in terms of how you use them, in terms of the fields you set, considering you've reached a point where literally every bowling change you make ends up resulting in a wicket? Yeah,
well, I don't think that's me. I think I'm pretty lucky to have those guys and Nathan Lyon. So it's a bit of a luxury as a captain. I mean, they honestly, they know where they're going to bowl the ball. They know where they want to set their fields. They don't just roll up on a Test match day and send it down and hope for the best. They know exactly what they're doing, those guys. We talk a lot about fields we want to set and how we want to exploit opposition batsmen's weaknesses. I'm just lucky that we've got some guys that can do it regularly and do it at high speed. So there's no doubt walking out to bat against our attack at the moment is a difficult prospect for even the best players in the world.
Tim, bit of a break until the Aussies play another Test match. What are you going to do between now and then? What sort of playing are you going to do to stay sharp?
I've got a bit of commentary actually first, so I'll get into that in the next week or so with over the Big Bash with Channel 7, which I'm looking forward to. That'll be a new experience for me, and then just back in around Tassie really. I'll be playing grade cricket when I can, waiting for the Shield season to start. And then hopefully having a good back end of the year and helping Tassie win some games as well.
I've seen Marnus play an important role with the ball last year at various points. I mean, how high as he continues to get more and more overs, how high do you think the roof is? Do you think, how far off is he of being a genuine all-rounder?
It depends if he's listening. He's going pretty well. He's as we know, he's a hard worker. He doesn't stop batting, and the only time he does stop batting is to go and bowl. So he's improving all the time. I think now the challenge for us is either in Shield cricket or when he's playing county cricket is to make sure he's getting enough overs in game, and then I think he won't be far off being a genuine option as an all-rounder. I mean, he's obviously going to be picked in our side for the runs he scores, but again, he's someone that can give us a great deal of flexibility in how we go about shaping teams. And not just in red ball. I think he's going to have an impact in some white ball teams as well. He's a bit of a triple threat cricketer at the moment. So the more, as I said, the more overs we can get him in games, whether it's Shield cricket, whether it's county cricket, whether it's in Test matches, that's where he's going to get his biggest improvement.
Tim, a number of players over the last few days since you spoke in Melbourne have been asked about the prospect of 4-day Test cricket, and everyone from both teams seems to be on the same page that they would much prefer 5. Do you think player power across the world could sort of beat this proposal, and should the the player's opinion be a major consideration if they
Yeah.
are making a decision?
Well, I think it should be certainly taken into consideration, but I dare say going back 6 or 7 years, if you had have let the players decide on the pink ball, that probably wouldn't have happened either. So there's always going to be a bit of give and take. I think there's probably some merit on it having the occasional test like we did with England and Ireland. That makes sense, but I think the big marquee test series, the test championship stuff, that for me has to stay 5 days for the reasons that I spoke about in Melbourne. I think most players around the world would be in agreement with that.
Tim, just how special is it for you guys as players to be a part of this pink test and, you know, the whole feeling that is around Sydney for this whole week,
Yeah.
the lead up, and obviously looking forward to Sunday as well?
Yeah, it's awesome. The boys always look forward to the pink test. They're, not a huge fan of the baggy pinks that we have to wear, but yeah, I think it's grown year on year. The boys get excited. A lot of the players change over their stickers to pink and pink grips and pink shoelaces. So it's obviously had its effect through the players. I think it's a great foundation, and obviously having Glenn's involvement as well only adds to it being a legend of Australian cricket and world cricket. But again, I think he's done an amazing job to grow that foundation, and day 3 here, the Sydney Test has just got bigger and bigger, and yeah, I think Glenn's done an outstanding job. So the players are always looking forward to getting involved and helping out where we can.
Tim, it was last year this time that Marsh kind of came out of nowhere to bat first drop. He had a couple of tests, but I don't think anyone expected him to play number 3 in Sydney. Did you see him turning into what he has, and can you tell us a little bit about the journey he's been through?
Probably not this quickly, but yeah, I think the reason he was picked at the time was because some people, Greg Chappell actually in particular, saw some real talent in him. And again, JL's always been really big on character and the type of people that we have in the team. And whilst Marnus potentially wasn't scoring the runs that we thought he could in Shield cricket, he ticked every other box. And as I said, there was an opportunity there over that year to blood some young players who we thought we could be the future. And Marnus and Travis Head were 2 of those, and they've certainly both taken their opportunity. Marnus in particular, I think, to go and play county cricket last year, pile on the runs, improve his game, get better in different sort of conditions. Again, he's worked his backside off, so he deserves everything that he's getting at the moment. And I think the more time he spends with Smithy and Davey and guys like this, he seems to be getting better and better. So he's an exciting prospect for us to have.